we're consuming so much off our digital devices. But we don't have much forms of expressing ourselves except a little comment that nobody really cares about, hearts and likes. I mean, big deal. But in person, on the other hand, there's real stories and narratives that take place.
Greetings and welcome to the Beyond Fluency podcast. This is the conversation series, and today I have the pleasure of speaking to David Deighton. David, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Just want to get started by asking you how about your journey, because there's so many places that we can go with this. Tell us about your background, where you're from, where you live, the journey that you went through.
Yes, I'm a Franco-American. I was raised in France by a French mother, a French family, and I moved to the United States. I'm from a divorced family. My father was American. Didn't get to know him very much. So when I was 18, I went to live in the United States. And my English was one from high school and one from some summer vacations to the United States to go see my father. A big surprise when you arrive at 18 and you have this heavy French accent. You speak like this, you don't know what you don't know any of the expressions, none of the culture, none of like that. So I'm from, I've lived in this kind of liminal space between the United States and France. I had an admiration for the United States living in France, but yet I wasn't quite American. And today I'm an artist still living in this liminal space. I'm always exploring areas of discomfort, and in culture and in exchanges, I find that there's a lot of material in there. And 6 years ago, I went off on a new project where living in the United States, I go and talk to Americans, to strangers, about the taboo subject of politics. Yeah. And I do this in public with strangers. I record their voices. I put up art installations, not in a gallery, not in a museum. I've found that going to national parks where people don't expect to see anything like that is very fruitful. Interestingly enough, I've never had an argument. We've had arguments, we've exchanged opinions and things, but we've never had a confrontation in the sense that aspect of the word argument with confrontation, or war, if you want.
Okay.
None of that. And that's been really mind-opening to me. Of course, there's a method to it, and that's been an amazing journey. And that's the one I'm on, and I'm on that journey with you today. I'm still on it.
Let's just jump straight in. Talk about the elephant in the room. And
did you say Trump or Trump?
Trump straight in. Yes, Trump straight in. A Freudian slip, I think, but a very apt one. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And from the outside looking in, the US is quite a polarized country, especially over the last half decade.
Mm-hmm.
How do you approach those conversations?
Right. That was all part of my experiment, if you like. I had done 1 year before this project going on social media, opened an Instagram account, and I explored political polarization. I went into groups like alt-right groups or far-right groups and tried to have conversations in there, and got called all these different things. And then found interesting peaks and patterns that were happening, and what concerns language in particular. New words that were being constantly invented to redefine the political narrative and to demonize anybody that was considered the left. That means everybody except them. And they all became commies, all of a sudden, pedophiles or whatever, all these things they could have possibly invent. And having conversations there, but it was extremely, it was difficult, and I would get banned by the platform regularly from reaching out outside of my echo chamber, outside my bubble, going in where I was not supposed to. So I got shadow banned a half a dozen times, which totaled several months. So I couldn't post every day my abstract video or whatever I was working on political polarization. And I thought, this isn't working. I need to go in person to go talk to people. And it wasn't really part of my art journey, if you want, to be big on the public and talking directly to people. I thought, well, David, you got to do this. First of all, you can't use any pseudonyms or anything. You got to use your name. Go out there, face to face, see what happens. And there I found myself probably in the wrong places, on street corners. People were busy, not the right. It's about space, finding the right space. And eventually, that brought me. I was in Yellowstone National Park. There's all this volcanic activity and stuff and geysers, and found out there was a place where I could be right next to the famous Old Faithful, which is a big geyser that comes up every hour. It pops up and hundreds of people show up, and I could be right close to there and speak to tons of people. So I got my little permit and went and started talking to people, and I used my own questions. And yes, there we were having arguments. And when I heard something that was offensive or I found to be false, I would confront it right away. And actually, all I was thinking about is my response. Not very big success. But what I did is I spoke to some friends professors in linguistics, and had put my questions through them. This is before ChatGPT.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
They came back to me with, like, David, your questions you didn't realize it, but you used the word polarization. And the word polarization is a polarizing term for the right. So don't use that. And they transformed my questions to be non-confrontational. I was like, okay, I don't believe it, but I'll try it. And I've been using those questions for the last 6 years with thousands of people. It works. However, there's the key element is the one of listening, actively listening, and letting them say what they have to say, and not focusing on what my response is going to be. Yeah. So that right there was transformational for me. Yes, is to actively listen in and to be there and present for somebody that I may have found repulsive or dangerous for democracy when they say certain things. And the other ones that I agree with were a pleasure to listen to. But it's hard not to nod in approval if you want to be unbiased and try to be as neutral as possible. So a lot of connection, a lot of surprises, and an interesting journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just wondering, what inspired the want or need to have these conversations in the first place? Going back to the Instagram days and exploring that side of things, where was the inspiration coming from?
Well, there's several clues around me of you get people's bumper stickers, radio programs, the way people vote in local elections, and then we all know where the rhetoric is gone. It's nothing new. Trump is not something new. I've been following, if you like, the rise of this populism, this form of populism, since the mid '80s, or even a little bit earlier than that. Yeah. Yeah. So I was in my teens then, and there were radio programs I could hear in the United States. I was listening while in France, listening to an AM radio on the short waves or the long waves, I don't know. But I could hear Radio TASS in the Soviet Union, and I could listen to Voice of America and hear the propaganda arm of the United States and hear two different stories on the same subject, or two different takes. The weather was great weather in Israel, great weather in Florida, and the other one was great weather in Crimea and in La Habana. But I was always interested, like, there's two different stories happening here. But what's been happening in the last 20 years or so is an appeal to hate and division, and I don't find that to be a positive outcome for peace, for democracy, for the future of my child, or simply for art in general. Any subject of taboo, I want to explore it, not to blow it up, but to see why. And not in the facts or opinions, but what draws people not to talk about certain subjects. And there's been a big shutdown about talking about politics in the United States among people of different points of view. People stay in their echo chambers. They don't speak to one another. They avoid the subject even at dinner tables, for example, at the American Thanksgiving once a year. And it's common for people to avoid politics and religion. So that's a dead-end street if we can't talk about certain subjects. It's just learn how to talk about them. It's not to win the war. It's not to win the argument, right? It's to be able to share one's views, to listen in to the other, and not to see them another, then to find the commonality, to see more the us,
right,
in all things. Yeah.
Yes, the royal we.
Yeah.
As in we humans. Yeah.
We.
We. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So yes, I as long as I've known, the two subjects never to approach at a dinner table have always been religion and politics.
Yeah.
And I think,
For you too. Okay.
yeah, what you're doing now is really admirable, because we need to learn to communicate with each other about these subjects in a non-violent, non-confrontational way. And so this work is really leading the way for people to be able to do that.
Yes, thank you. One among many other attempts by various people to do dinners, and invite people of different persuasions to come. There's even groups that will take 6 Democrats, 6 Republicans, sit them down at a table with lots of rules. And that's good for some people. I need something immediate that everybody can do. That's not textbook heavy. That's my exploration using artwork, and also just something simple that we can all attain. But it has a little bit of pain involved in it, because you got to listen to the other and not get triggered or pass immediate judgment. So that's where I'm at right now.
Right. Was this something that came naturally to you, or is it a skill that you've worked on?
Yeah, I've definitely been still working on it. Definitely not. I'm very reactive to what I perceive to be as injustice or social injustice. And I would shut the conversation and point towards facts or opinions of mine to counteract the other. Tensions would rise very quickly. And but it's true that I've never walked away from the subject or tried to avoid it. I found that confrontation was maybe a good approach. But on the other hand, I don't think it's not that I'm looking for converts. But on the other hand, we never really had a conversation. We just had an argument, and we never dialogued in a healthy way. They never saw the humanity really in me. They just were able to demonize me even more for what they represented me as being. And my goal, if you want, is that people can, the takeaway, see, well, David just said he's one of those lefties or whatever. They're not all bad, right? And also to reinitiate just civility in conversation. And it appeals to all, everybody I speak to. Some people say, well, it's not worth it, but they do see that civility is better than a yelling argument. But for that, I found that I have to listen and let them say what they have to say, because nobody's listening to one another. We're consuming so much off our digital devices constantly that we're listening to others, right? To the algorithm, if you want. But we don't have much forms of expressing ourselves, except a little comment that nobody really cares about. You might have to make it witty, maybe not really yourself. Hearts and likes, big deal. But in person, on the other hand, there's real stories and narratives that take place. There's a new narrative that appeals to people. The easy path, of course, is just to scroll and not do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the major issues with the algorithm is it presents you with what you want to see.
Mm.
So you're not going to get to see the other side. You're not going to have the opportunity to listen to someone who is a good speaker and well educated about the other side of the coin, whatever subject that is, whether that be politics or anything else. It's always going to point you in the direction of the things that you already like and things related to that, which takes away the variety of life.
Right. But it's more comfortable. Yeah.
Yes.
It makes us feel good. We're in the club. I get it.
Yep. Get the dopamine fix.
Yeah.
Of people agreeing with you.
Yeah. I'm still going to go to a No Kings March in the US. No problem there. But on the other hand, I'm not maybe making that same effort to go speak to people of a different political persuasion. And that's what I'm trying to do. I go to an area where it's where everybody feels kind of relaxed and safe. So nature's a good spot. Therefore, national parks are a good place for these things to happen. Better than going to a political rally.
Yes.
Yeah. I've even tried to do this at a No Kings March, and they thought they were yelling me off the sit. They were telling me to leave because they thought I was not with them on the moment, which I guess they were right. Everything is about timing and space, being in the right frame of mind.
You've got the herd mentality at that kind of event as well, haven't you? As soon as one person is upset, everyone around them is upset as well. So it can be quite inflammatory.
Yeah, no lynching that day, but okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. If you haven't already, please hit the like and the subscribe button, as well as the bell icon to get updated every time we put up a new episode.
Coming back to what you mentioned earlier about having your friends who were linguistics experts take a look at your questions and adapt them, can you give us a bit more detail about what was written that got changed? Like what kind of structure or language was seen as inflammatory?
So I don't remember exactly the questions that I was using, and I have to go back to my notes. However, the first question had the word political polarization in it, which I should have known better because from my Instagram experiment, I knew that on the right, that was a polarizing term invented by the left, apparently, to demonize the right. It had to be another. So the questions I use are: how would you describe the political system of the United States of America? How would you describe it? And just let them say what they have to say. And then the second question I ask them is more on the emotional level. I ask them, describe your feelings or reactions to the current state of U.S. politics. So we get more into the emotions and the facts and descriptions of some origin story for the U.S., if you want. And then the third's a game, because it's always good to put a little game in, which I never thought of, which is good. And I asked people to finish the sentence, politics in the United States, blank, and they finished that. And by that time, they've really kind of condensed more of their ideas. And, since I'm not saying anything except those questions, there's really no blowing up with it. People could just go. Sometimes for 15 minutes. The average is 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So it's quite short overall. Some people give a one-word answer. And at the end, I asked them to give me one word that kind of summarizes the whole thing. And it could be a word that they already used, but it's often has an emotional content to it. They're angry, confused, disappointed. They might use a cuss word or something like this, whatever. And that word I can use in a piece of artwork or whatever. I use it in different ways. But when I'm in disagreement with them, I'll take an opportunity then to say, I disagreed with everything you said, except you said anger or angry, and I'm angry too. I just wanted to let you know I'm that libtard lefty that you don't like, but I'm angry too. And I leave it at that, and they can see that that's the bridge that we have. That's the minimum. There's going to be always one word, usually an emotion, and that's where our connection is. It's one on an emotional level, something that we can both share for different reasons. Yet the word itself is our bridge, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a bridge, not for them to be in agreement for my political views or for me to be in agreement with theirs, just to show this is human here, right? Because that's how low I got to go. Things are so polarized in the country that if we can't even set forth a way to communicate with one another and create a bridge, we're not having any form of conversation. So this is where I have to go, just on the emotional level. And just to show that we can have these conversations, I share the questions with them so they can use them with other people. And they often do, which is cool. And also, which is cool, they'll say the word anger, for example. They'll go off on a hike, and I see them 4 hours later, and they'll come back and say, David, it's not the word anger. I was thinking more it's division or it's change. They've been thinking about it for 4 hours. I'm like, right on.
Nice.
You've been thinking about it. You've been probably talking to your friends and family about this on the hike. I couldn't help. This is awesome. Right. They've started the conversation. That happens a lot. And that's why I haven't had an argument during this art experiment, because, I'm listening, and I do get to say that I'm in total disagreement. They can ask me why. That rarely happens in this day of polarization. People just have to say what they have to say, and then they're just happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say before you explained it, do you have any follow-ups or are you engaging with them in any way? But you mentioned that you just asked those 3 questions, or
I've done it
weird
to
that
structure, and I don't exchange names or give my name. I mean, they know who I am. This is all totally up to them, but I'm not collecting anything except maybe their voices, ideas as well, because then, next time I go to a national park, I'll set up another art installation to kind of draw people's attention. And how do you even ask those questions to someone, right? You need some form of a reason to do it, or the reason I got, but a tool, an instrument. And the instrument can be a microphone. Okay, that's one thing. But also set up like an art installation that revolves around the idea of echo chambers, for example. And people usually, it's not in the right place. It's not in an gallery or museum. They come up and they're like, "What? What is this?" And I'll ask them, "Well, what do you think this is about?" And they'll tell me, which is great. Get the public's feedback, and that's also the excuse for starting a conversation. I would argue that this podcast and us having a conversation is also an excuse for it creates a story that other people can use in their own interactions with others. I heard Liam and David talk about this subject, and then off it goes, right? So that's important. All these things, creating stories and creating a narrative of exchange, any way is good. That not any way, but I try. I'll try one like two empty chairs. One says Republic. I put a sign Republican and Democrat on the other, and it's empty. It's not supposed to be there. People are like, what is this? And they get it right away. It's like, oh, Republicans and Democrats are not talking to one another. The chairs are empty, right? That's the state of affairs in this country. Yeah. So I'll do those type of things. Political messages and put them in ceramic vessels and go hide them in the desert. And somebody might pull it out in a couple hundred years and go, oh, what's this thing about? How would you describe the political system of the United States of America? They might go, oh, what's the United States of America?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. What's the political system? There's more than one or what?
In this dystopian society? What? Yeah.
Who knows?
I see.
Will there be anybody to read it? I don't know. Yeah, do stuff like that.
Okay, nice. And if people wanted to experience your work aside from traveling to a national park and hoping to bump into you, how would they be able to get hold of that?
Yeah, they'd have to go to a social media platform, wouldn't they? They'd have to go to YouTube. They go to YouTube and they can see some videos of me setting up installations and stuff. A triptych dialogue. I'll plug it. It's a TRIPTYCH dialogue. Type that in. You'll find it. It all happened in your part of the world. I was at the Victoria and Albert Museum with my child, and there was a triptych, a religious panel, 3 panels with religious artwork on it, and half of the images were missing and missing from time, eroded away. And it kind of struck me as that's very much our own personal stories, right? We have all the persona image that we put out there, but half of it's missing because we don't even look back into ourselves and we forget things. And how do we fill that up? And it gets filled up in these exchanges of community with others. So I went with that. And yeah, it's good. I should go back and go look at this 13th century triptych panel again.
Okay.
It looked like somebody dragged it through the dirt. It was like, why did they actually put this thing up? Half of it's missing. It was good. Yeah, it's 13th century. It's on the ground floor. I forget which number it is. Go
At
take
the
a look
V&A.
at it.
Yeah, very nice. The V&A, for those of you that don't know, is one of the 3 major museums in central London. It's right next to the Science Museum and the Museum of Natural History.
That's right. Those are worth visiting too.
Definitely. Yeah.
Penny, for your thoughts. We'd really like to know what you think. So please leave your comment in the comment section. Thanks.
We were talking about language earlier and about the journey rather than this artistic journey of talking to Americans about political polarization. I found myself in this weird space when I first arrived when I was 18, not able to communicate the way I wanted to because of cultural hangups. I arrived in California from Paris, right? It was beach culture all of a sudden. It's like beach culture.
Yeah.
I couldn't surf, but it looked like fun. The girls went to the parties of the surfers.
Always comes down to the girls with the French guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go to parties, and I met some surfer guys and went to their parties, and I became froggy, frog, because that's what the Americans or the English call the French, because we eat frogs.
Dates.
Better than escargot, I suppose. And
it's a bit like chicken.
The chicken?
It's like a it's
like
white
chicken.
Meat, isn't it? Yeah.
It does.
It's similar, similar
just
texture.
A little bit of it, and meeting. Yeah, and I adopted their English, which is super interesting, but not very useful when you try to get a job. and you chop.
No
And you
way,
use it.
dude.
Yeah, that's very much like getting it wrong as well, because I'd get to put the words in the wrong place. But acting it and trying to be like a surfer dude, and just saying it's about the space in which you put yourself in. It's to go back to the project, right? So that was an early encounter for me about how to manage these spaces, which spaces are appropriate, which language is appropriate, which words you use at certain times, and to understand the origin of words, right? Is we don't think about it, especially when we're discussing things with people of different opinions. The words that we use might trigger them deeply. Mm. And how do we recognize those words? And should we change them? Should we mirror the other person? Should we adapt to the situation? Or should we just be 100% authentic and blow up the situation? If that's, it doesn't necessarily have to blow it up, but you see what I'm saying. Sometimes using
Yeah.
the wrong language can take you to the wrong place. And my surfer language didn't help.
When was this
With that,
in the
it did,
80s as well?
yes, in the 80s, but it did help with actually didn't help with the girls either.
No.
No, because I was, it's too French. Found that uh, um, people from Latin America or any expat, we had more connection. Yeah, I guess all it comes down to connection. They might be talking to me, but it doesn't mean they're like connecting, all right? Because the language has all the cultural context behind it, and if it doesn't appeal, then it repulses. Yeah.
Agreed. It's the classic directly translating issue, like trying to translate an idiom, for example, which has certain meaning in your own language, but when you put those into literal words in another language, okay, maybe the meaning is lost a little bit. And in the same way with those social groups, you're using the vernacular of a particular group when you try and use that within another set of people.
Right, and the timing could be off as well, and those things are noticeable in the cues and the nonverbal and all those things. So there is a kind of an importance to I find, to maintain your historic self, to bring that forth while you're working more in the comprehension of the words that you use and how they're received. Maybe diving deeper into nonverbal, which is a great echo coming back, from and that helps a lot in those exchanges. I'm very grateful for a few books that have helped with nonverbal expressions. Oh, yeah? No, don't ask me which ones. Don't ask me which ones.
Okay, all right.
Well, and the guys, the CIA former agents or something, they wrote a few books. They study this stuff quite a bit. That's a good area to look into. Lots of studying eye movement and all this stuff. I found feet to be the best one. That's the one that my takeaway, to look at people's feet and the direction of people's feet when you talk to them. That to me has been like the best chapter.
In the sense of where the toes are pointing or how they're standing?
Yes. Yeah. If they're standing.
What does that indicate?
If they're standing.
If they're standing.
Like, so for example, when, so both feet pointing towards me, very interested in what I'm saying, right? One foot off to the side. Yeah, a little bit. I might be resting, or I'm not so interested, right? I change the way I talk so that the foot comes back, so I get both feet full attention. Can't keep it all the way like that, but keep it on me as long as possible. Both feet off to the side. I want to flee. I want to run away.
Okay.
And it's very unconscious, so people do it without thinking. They can't.
Right.
The face they can control better, in the hands, but not the feet.
Right. Yeah, I've been talking a lot about body language with clients recently, and talking about the study of micro expressions. Have you come across that?
Yes, but that's hard, no?
It's incredibly so hard. It's so interesting how the unconscious brain lets out a snippet of a true emotion before the conscious brain takes over and says, no, we're not supposed to show emotion in this situation. But the unconscious is there. It's the uncontrollable bit. So there is always a half a second where you get a true indication of what that person is feeling. And for me, that comes across as, You know, those times you have conversations with people and you walk away and you're not quite sure, but what you heard what they said, you saw their face, but something doesn't quite sit right about what's happened. And it's, I think for me, it's the unconscious brain processing the micro expression that you saw briefly. Right. And it's, you just have this instinct of there's something not quite right about that.
Have you been able to apply some of the things that you learned on it to actually see it? I've had difficulty with that, like the pupil dilation and okay.
I haven't dived into it particularly. There is it, you know, I think it's an art form to be able to read the face in that nano speed.
Right. Yes.
Right.
That's why I'm like CIA do it.
Right. Again, it is a skill. You can train it, but you know, it's incredibly difficult to do it in the moment as you're talking people. Incredibly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It gives you a leg up or whatever they say. Maybe that's not the expression either.
To get a leg up. I think that works. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Let's just say it works. Right. Even now, still after however many years in the US.
My wife's, we speak only French at home. My wife's British. I think we're still in that liminal space after 26 years. Yeah.
Okay. Speak French at home, British wife, live in the US.
Yeah.
How does you have a son, you mentioned?
A daughter, yeah. Daughter, 14.
Sorry. 14-year-old daughter. How does she process this trivecta of culture?
Yeah. So she's got all three nationalities. So that might be a burden in the future. But more passports doesn't mean bliss, I guess. It's very interesting to watch her journey. She used to be world schooled. We would travel and she would be schooled as she traveled around. And one year she decided, 6 years ago when I started this project, she decided, I want to go to school. And she was actually 9. Yeah. But, and that was a big change in her life. She wanted this social interaction that she had. And she had a bit of a French accent when she was speaking English. And then first school she goes to, she loves it. She's been there ever since. She loves going to school and she wanted to be American as much as possible. So she really dove in this thing and to become the image that she wanted to be. And in the last couple of years, she's taken her French identity. She's a teenager, wants to be different, than the others.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so when language comes up, for example, she enjoys when I call her on the phone and her friends are around. She loves to talk French. She'll actually say things she'll answer questions I didn't even ask. So she can just keep on talking in French.
Right.
So all her friends can hear her go, she really speaks French.
Yeah. That's really interesting because it strikes me that often at that age, young people want to fit in, right? They want to be part of the group. Like peer pressure is a very big part of being a teenager, particularly. So the fact that she's like, oh no, actually, I'm going to play and enjoy the fact that I have this.
Just enough, though. Just a bit. It's not 100% full on. Yeah, just enough. For example, when she's taking Spanish, and when people say, "Oh, it must be so easy for you because you speak," it must be natural because you speak French. It helps, but it's not. You still got to learn it, and the expressions and everything that go with it. But it negates the work that she puts into the language. Those type of comments, in a sense, they're hurtful. I know I have a bit of an accent when I speak in American, but I worked really hard to get rid of it. And when I say I was raised in France, everybody says, "Oh yeah, I could hear that. I knew it. There was something that was off." And I get a bit offended by it because I worked hard on it,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And so there's some of that. The ego gets involved, right? Yeah. The amount of work that we put in to learn a language, to adapt to the cultural situations where the language is being used. We want to be, I think we want to be praised for it a little bit, So it'd be better if I had a heavy French accent to go, "Oh, you speak really good English." But when you try to not have the accent, like, not good enough.
Right. What was it about wanting to sound American? Why was that a driver for you?
Yeah, inclusion.
Okay.
Yeah, inclusion. Not to be, and it's unfortunate because, in a sense, if you don't understand all the intricacies about the culture, you get found out, and that can be worse, right? You've
Mm.
been hiding this from us all the time, and a sense of betrayal to the others. So I think it's important or it's important for me to be clear about where I'm from and why I might not understand American football, for example. I haven't tried, but I take it as a cultural trait.
It's pretty simple. You know, they spend most of the time not actually playing the game anyway. So,
So they spend all that time learning the rules,
right.
or why I'm speaking to all the ladies rather than coming to speak to the guys and stay in our group.
Right.
Right. That might seem awkward, but if they know I'm French, they're like, "Ah, yeah, it's okay. He's French." That's what French people do. You did that.
And the same, though, because they have the same gender divide in Italy, which I find very uncomfortable, to be honest. And very much, I grew up around the friendship of women. I feel much more comfortable in that environment, but I can't win in Italy because I can't talk to the girls because that's uncomfortable. And the guys, I find it more difficult because that's not my natural inclination. So, you
Oh,
know,
that's interesting.
I keep up with the football for information because if in doubt, you talk football with guys in Italy, particularly. I haven't watched a game in years, but because it takes me 5 minutes to read the results and see who scored, and I can remember those facts and figures, and then that's enough for me to go, yeah, I saw that this happened.
Do you
And
live in
then,
Italy right now, or is this why you visit?
yeah, I live
You live in Italy.
just outside of Milan. Been here about 4 years now.
Yeah, so you gotta feel like you gotta keep up on this on the sports, on the football. Wow, you're working hard at it. Good for you. That's good.
It's, it's simple. My dad was a PE teacher before he was a performer, and sport has been a mainstay in the family home. It watches everything. So being in that environment, I understand it. I know how the games work. I don't play. I'm not a super fan, that's my team, or, I don't get into that very macho mentality of the classic football fan, but I follow the game, and the information is useful when trying to connect with people, especially other guys. It's even British guys, Italian guys.
Politics. Try politics. Get straight to it. Why should we waste time on the things that are seem unauthentic? Authentic. Let's go straight to something deep. You might lose lots of friends.
I honestly, if politics was something that was truly important to me, I would probably follow your advice. But I'm quite a non-confrontational kind of guy, so
Well, I have non-confrontational questions for you.
there we go. I was sorted, right?
And you can change the word politics for something else, by the way.
Yeah.
And
I
how
think,
would you describe religion in the United States of America or whatever?
right. I think my answers might be a bit longer than your average 2 minutes and 37 seconds in Italy, though, to be honest.
Well, as long as it becomes a heated conversation, then I think then you win.
There's no problems with that over here, trust me. You mentioned earlier about your YouTube channel. Is there anywhere else people can find you if they want to get in touch, if they're very interested in your work?
No, that'd be it. I kept it simple.
Just
Yeah.
YouTube.
It's not actually what's important to me is these type of exchanges like the one we're having right now, your listeners being there. If it resonates with them, they're making that painful move, be used just in every moment of life, really. Making conversations more authentic, deep, maybe politics if you want to have a moment of resistance. And yeah, it's a political act that we can do at almost any time, several times a week, more than we can vote, surely.
Yeah, fantastic. David, any final thoughts for us today? Anything you want to share?
That's the one. No, it's a pleasure being on the show. I'm alive. It's not my journey till death.
David, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. I'm going to leave link in the show notes below to your YouTube channel, and I wish you all the best with your endeavors.
Oh, thank you. Thank you much.